Good morning, warrior. As the sun rises today, I invite you to think about the things you cannot change, the battles you cannot avoid. For today, I will share with you a story of acceptance, of understanding that some things are simply beyond our control. This is a lesson I learned on the eve of my last battle, a battle where my 300 men and I stood not just for survival, but for something greater: honor, unity, and the willingness to face the inevitable with courage. It was the night before the battle at Thermopylae, the night that would come to define the fate of Greece. The Persian army, numbering in the hundreds of thousands, awaited us across the pass. But we, the 300 Spartans, stood firm, knowing that we would not return from this war. Our goal was not to win, but to fight with such courage that our names would echo through the ages. That night, the air was thick with the scent of oil and metal. We were gathered around our campfires, sharpening our swords, our shields, and our spears. The sound of the whetstones running against steel was a rhythmic reminder of the reality before us. There was no escape. No reinforcements were coming. The enemy was closing in, and we knew that only one thing awaited us: death. But as the night stretched on, I looked around at my men. I saw no fear in their eyes. I saw no panic. They weren't preparing for a fight to the death with desperation in their hearts. Instead, they were preparing with resolve, with acceptance. We had accepted our fate, not as victims, but as warriors who had made peace with it. Some of the men spoke of their families, of the children they would never see again, of the wives they would never kiss. But they did not speak with sorrow. They spoke of what we had accomplished, of the honor we carried, and of the pride in knowing that we were fighting for something that could never be taken from us. The way of Sparta, the Spartan code, was about more than life itself. It was about living in such a way that death could never shame you. As we gathered around the fire, some of the younger warriors, perhaps trying to ease their nerves, began to sing the songs of Sparta. The sound of our voices, harmonizing under the cold night sky, was not one of despair, but of defiance. It was our way of saying, "We are not afraid." It was during that moment, when we were preparing for what we knew would be our final hours, that I understood something I had never fully grasped before: the power of acceptance. We could not control the outcome. We could not stop the Persian army from coming, but we could control how we faced it. We could control the courage in our hearts and the strength in our minds. In that moment, I walked among my men, and I spoke to them, not as their king, but as one warrior to another. "Do not fear what you cannot control," I told them. "Focus on the things you can, how you fight, how you stand, and how you die. Let fear leave you, for it has no place in a Spartan's heart." We had come to terms with what awaited us. There was no anger, no bitterness, no regrets, just acceptance. This was our duty, our choice. We were not afraid, because we had already made peace with our fate. And in that peace I saw something extraordinary: strength, not in spite of death, but because of it. When you accept that which you cannot change, you are freed from the shackles of fear. You become stronger than you ever thought possible. And so, as dawn approached, and the first light of morning stretched across the horizon, I looked once more at my warriors. They stood tall, their faces resolute, their eyes steady. There was no panic, no fear, only quiet strength. This was the true victory we had won, not against the Persians, but against our own fear. And while we would fight bravely that day, it is this moment, the night before the battle, that I remember most vividly. For it was then that I realized, accepting the inevitable is not a form of weakness. It is the key to peace. As you face your own struggles, warrior, remember this: life will test you. It will bring you challenges you cannot avoid, obstacles you cannot change. But your strength lies not in resisting these things, but in accepting them. Focus on what you can control, and let go of what you cannot. There is no greater peace than the peace that comes from within. Now, as you face the trials of your own day, remember the lesson of the 300. Do not waste your energy on fear of the unknown. Accept what comes, and focus on how you can act with strength, with honor, and with purpose. When you make peace with the things you cannot control, you will find the freedom to conquer whatever challenges lie ahead. Go forth today, not in fear, but in acceptance. And with that acceptance, you will find your strength.